This is the new ASUS Chromebook Flip CX5601, a clear successor to the well-received Flip CX5 from last year that looks to take all the stuff that Chromebook did well and just expand on it. I've spent a couple days with it so far, and I wanted to share some early observations with you. So let's get into it. This video is brought to you by Penoval. Penoval makes fantastic USI pens for Chromebooks, styluses for iPads and Surface devices that are well built, stylish, and come with a reasonable price tag. Their latest model, the USI 702 Chromebook stylus, comes with some pretty sweet features like USB-C charging, a unique eraser on the end, a more solid pen tip, and enhanced palm rejection. In our time with this pen, it has worked on nearly every Chromebook we've tried, and the eraser works just as you'd expect in all sorts of apps with no setup needed whatsoever. In addition, they also have the overall most popular stylus on Amazon as well, the Penoval USI 150, that generally goes for less than $50. If you're interested in picking up one of Penoval's great pens, check the link in the description to find out more. From a sheer specs perspective, the Flip CX5601 isn't doing anything wildly out of the ordinary here in 2022. It's got a 12th gen Intel Core i3, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of NVMe storage, a 16-inch 16x10 Full HD screen, quad speakers, a numeric keypad, 2 USB Type-C ports, a USB Type-A port, full-size HDMI slot, microSD card slot, a backlit keyboard, and a 1080p webcam. That list likely checks most boxes for most people, and even though there are some parts of this device that beat that impressive spec sheet, there are some that just fall flat. So let's talk about some things I like so far and some things that I don't. Let's start with the likes. I really like the speed of this Chromebook. I mean, right away I could tell it was fast, and running some benchmarks just confirmed my suspicions. It's the first 12th gen Core i3 that we've had actually here in the office, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. But with Octane scores of over 80,000 and Speedometer 2.0 scores coming in over 250, it turns out this is one of the fastest Chromebooks that I've ever used. We put it up against the 12th gen Core i5 and i7 Chromebooks here in the office and got similar numbers across the board many times, with the Core i3 scoring a little higher. That being said, the GPU that's integrated into this Core i3 isn't quite on par with the Iris Xe graphics in the Core i5 or Core i7 variants, but for most of you, that's just not going to matter that much. I mean, if heavy video editing and Steam gaming aren't in your future desires for a Chromebook, the GPU that's integrated into this Core i3 will perform just fine. So far, there's nothing in the standard range of Chromebook tasks that I've thrown at this thing that it can't handle with absolute ease, and I don't foresee that changing at all down the road. With plenty of RAM and fast NVMe storage, this thing just feels so fast, and I love that. I'm also loving the keyboard. It has great travel, it's full size, and it makes typing long emails or posts a comfy, enjoyable task. It's backlit, and it comes with a small numeric keypad on the right too if you need it. And overall, it's just been a delight to use, and just like last year's Flip CX5, it just feels like ASUS has really found their stride with keyframes in their Chromebooks. This one is just fantastic. Finally, I'll comment on the screen, as I both like and dislike it. With the 16-inch measure and 16:10 aspect ratio, the canvas here is just so large that I love it. It makes for a huge Chromebook, sure, but I've loved having all this space and openness without feeling like I have to extend my display to get it. It's a great feature, especially if this is a Chromebook that's going to be used around the house for all sorts of different users, for all sorts of different use cases. From web browsing to document creation to content consumption, the screen size and its layout are both just really nice to have. But I'll use the screen to also now transition to the stuff that I don't like so much about this Chromebook so far. If any screen out there screams for a Quad HD resolution, it is this one. With this much screen real estate, Full HD just doesn't cut it. Pixels are noticeable on the screen, and though this resolution isn't exactly a deal breaker, it's just a letdown. But not nearly as much of a disappointment as the screen colors and brightness are. The display is really warm in its color temperature, and though we did measure it at 300 nits of brightness, just like ASUS claims, it never feels quite that bright. And don't get me wrong, 300 nits isn't wildly bright to begin with, but the whites of this screen having such a warm yellowish tendency makes everything a bit dimmer looking in actual use. For me, it's been at 100% screen brightness the entire time, and that's kind of a bummer. If ASUS had gone with a high-res, bright, color-accurate display, this Chromebook would be an absolute standout. Instead, the screen becomes a bit of a hindrance where it should be an absolute strength. The trackpad's a bit of the same love-hate relationship too. The size is great, and the material, though I don't think it's glass, is smooth and really responsive. But the click mechanism is really hollow and cheap feeling, as in like sub $300 Chromebook cheap feeling. Now that could just be our device, and you may have better luck with a fresh one out of the box, but I was a little disappointed in the feel of the click. It does perform just fine, like it does all your tasks the way you need them to, so I can't say it's really a ding against the Chromebook, it just kind of feels cheap. And finally, I don't love the materials used for the bottom half of this Chromebook. The lid is metal, so it adds a firmness when things are all shut, but combined with the glass of the screen and the all-plastic bottom chassis, this already large Chromebook kind of feels clumsy and top-heavy when you open it up. The plastic on the bottom is surprisingly rigid and good enough from a structural standpoint, but the weight distribution is just a little off, and I just don't love the feel of this plastic underneath my palms when I'm typing. Last year's CX5 had this special plastic around the keyboard that had this great textury feel, but this Flip CX5601 is not the same stuff. Now, there's more to test on this Chromebook, but the port selection, the 1080p webcam, and the quad speaker setup are nice additions to a big, bold device that could be a solid choice for the right user. I need to spend some more time with it for sure and just get my head around all of that stuff, but I know I'm loving the performance and the keyboard quite a bit so far. Will the battery severely suffer from the basically required 100% screen brightness? Will the performance hold up to extended use? Will the hollow feel of the trackpad give way to usability issues? Well, those questions and more we'll cover in the review down the road just a little bit. But for now, that's it for this one. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, head down there, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to ring the notification icon as well if you'd like to be alerted when we make future videos just like this one. Till next time, we'll see you.